Although the world seems to be increasingly under siege from various external threats, like climate change and growing debt, it seems that the biggest distraction facing our world comes from within. When politicians are unable to agree, even on a global scale, the future becomes quite concerning and uncertain. Instead of spending time on improving systems or altering pre-existing yet outdated frameworks, politicians are trapped because there are no good options to fix the economic system. But why do politicians not have any viable options? It is not that the facts have not been read or that the people have not been heard. The fundamental problem facing our world can only be solved with out-of-the-box thinking that creates options that politicians do not know are possible. Currently, all politicians are thinking inside the small box that the banking system has placed them in. But what is this economic box that the banking system has built? Basically, the economy is debt-driven, which means that all sources of money come from debt, and the banking system as a whole. This system creates the box that our politicians are trapped within. In fact, we are all trapped by the principle that all money must come from debt.
Ultimately, politics has been divided and conquered by the debt-driven banking system. So, how exactly does the debt-driven economy truly trap us? In essence, since all money comes from debt, that means more debt is required to grow the economy. This explains why personal, corporate, national, and global debt is exploding at extreme rates, yet why the monumental problems facing our world continue to threaten our future. A debt-driven economy requires more debt to grow, which forces governments and politicians to borrow more and more money. So what? What is the biggest problem with massive debt? If the system has worked thus far, why change it now? Let's take a slight detour to examine that question. In Japan, debt is so great that people work themselves to death trying to stave off debt collectors and pay their way out of the hole. Debt, like the coronavirus, is an invisible killer and has shackled many individuals throughout the world into a hopeless, never-ending spiral of debt that eventually consumes them, trapping them in place, or worse, destroying them. Debt has even tied the hands of politicians, making all governments incapable of solving the most urgent problems facing our world. So, how has a debt-driven economy divided politicians and the country, ultimately seizing any progress on solving the world's most pressing issues? Politicians believe that the economy is driven by tax policy. However, the truth is that the economy is driven by debt. To make things clear, politicians cannot fix the economy and our problems by using taxation because the economy is debt-driven. Taxes only shuffle money and changes only the winners and losers, not the state of the economy. So, what's the solution? Currently, debt as the only input into the economy, as directed by the banking system's monetary policy, is too constraining. Engineering teaches us that controlling the inputs into a system creates controllable outputs.
Changing monetary policy is the only way to optimize our future, the economy, and society. So, how do we unite politicians under the same unifying cause? First, we must remind the politicians that they have sworn to defend the Constitution that protects our inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. By having the economy function like an engineered machine that protects the purpose of the Constitution. This can be done by changing the nature of central banks and global monetary policy. Once the economy functions properly, politicians can focus on the things they can control, like legislation, not the economy. To be clear, politicians never controlled the economy. It's high time they realized this fact. Instead, it's time they unite behind changing the nature of the Federal Reserve and central banks across the world. To learn more about this topic, read more about it in the book The Big Solution, where Jarl Jensen discusses how to optimize the economy to function for the people and not the banking system. With a society relieved of debt and functioning on a healthy system, we can pave the way to a prosperous and ever-expansive future. You can also check out the articles down below for more information regarding the current global political insanity and what you can do to help solve it. You might think that changing the monetary policy of central banks and the Federal Reserve is overwhelming or even impossible, But the truth is that monetary policy is just a piece of paper with words on it. Words can be changed. They can be changed into words that unite politicians in the cause of upholding our Constitution, creating a sustainable future, and optimizing prosperity. And if the current words of monetary policy are causing divisiveness in governments across the world, preventing progress in the things that really matter, there is just no reason to not change the purpose of monetary policy throughout the world.